Welcome to Learn to Live Stress-Free. This is Christine Wright with Dr. Robert Wright Jr. of www.stressfreenow.info.
Hi, this is Dr. Bob, the Stress and Pain Relief Doctor, coming to you today from the lovely city of Bar Harbor, Maine. Yes, that's right, we're in Bar Harbor. And this is a members-only broadcast. So the information I'm going to reveal today is only available if you are in the membership portion or portal for my stressfreenow.info website. So I'm on a cruise, and this is not an ordinary cruise in the sense that what I did was a back-to-back cruise. And so it's only recently that I learned how fabulous taking a back-to-back cruise is. So, for example, in January, I did a back-to-back cruise on Norwegian Cruise Line from New York City to Panama City and then back to New York City. And so the first leg of the cruise was 12 days, and the second leg of the cruise coming back was 11 days. So a total of 23 days. So here is the type of real benefit you get from going on a back-to-back cruise. First, that cruise, because although I no longer live in New York, it's close to New York. And so in 90 minutes, I had pulled into the parking garage and was 5 blocks from the cruise ship terminal at 55th Street and the West Side Highway, which is 12th Avenue in Manhattan. Took a short cab ride to the terminal with my luggage and boarded the ship. The best part is that I only had to pack and unpack once. This is the opposite of when you go flying from place to place. So going down, I think the only bobble that we really had was when we left in the end of January. The weather was, the first stop on the cruise was supposed to be Bermuda. And so the weather apparently was so rough in Bermuda that they actually changed the itinerary. So the cruise ship was supposed to leave, I believe, around 4 o'clock out of Manhattan. But because we weren't going to Bermuda, it left, I think, around 3 a.m. the next day. So that's quite unusual. I've been on about 20 cruises, and that's the first time I've seen that type of delay. Anybody that's flown knows that the weather delays and cancellations on airlines are just, out of control. So normally when the cruise ship doesn't leave on time, it's often because let's say they have shore excursions as part of the cruise, and then something happens. Like, for example, we were in the Dominican Republic and there was construction on some road, and so the buses couldn't get back on time, and so they held the ship, I think, about for 50 minutes extra so that those people could get back on the ship. Another example is that, let's see, we were in someplace in Spain, like Mallorca or Cadiz or Malaga. And when we got into the port, there was a lot of confusion over with the shore excursions, and again, it was outside of the control of the cruise line. Many of the passengers were irate because they couldn't let the passengers off to go to the buses because this particular port didn't have like a large parking lot or anything like that. Actually, the port did have a large parking lot, but there was another cruise ship. It was an MSC ship, and it was a huge ship, and they had come in first, and they had taken up the space. And so what I learned later was the real reason was the fact that because that MSC ship got in first, the tour buses that we were supposed to use, we had to wait until they had dropped off all their people on certain tours or done certain things. And so, as you can imagine, there were so many people in the auditorium, and then I felt sorry for the crew member because she was on stage and asking people to clear the exit, and so it was. But here's my point. The point being, a back-to-back cruise is fabulous because I drove into the parking lot. 5 blocks later, I'm in the terminal. And when you go on a cruise, you can take things that you can't take on a plane. Like you can take lotion. You can take, you know what I'm saying? You can take hand cream. You can take scissors or toenail clippers, or I brought the clippers to cut my hair or whatever, and so that's one of the things that I love, and so this particular cruise is back to back out of Boston. And so the wonderful thing about this ship is that there's a bridge between Quebec City and Montreal. And so the larger ships cannot go fit under that bridge. So it's only the smaller ships like this one. So I'm on the Zandan. And so one of the really fantastic things about this ship is that it's an older ship. And so it's like older style cruising. When I say old, it's not really old. I just meant compared to the ship that just came out last week or last year. And so they have new ships coming out, and they have zip lines and race cars and, golf simulators. This ship doesn't have those things. Thank goodness, because when I go on vacation, I'm looking to chill out. So I'm not looking to race around and do all those things. Vacation is supposed to be relaxing. And so one of the other nice things is that unlike some other cruises, I've only seen about 50% of the people here on the ship using their phones all the time. It actually might be a little lower now that I think about it. But on some other cruises, like 90% of the people, they're on the cruise ship and they got their phone, whatever, with their hot dog. And, what kind of vacation is that? So that is beyond the scope of this particular talk. So what I want to encourage you to do is that if cruising is something that you like to do, or if you've never been on a cruise before, consider a back-to-back cruise. And back-to-back just means, so for example, this ship left from Boston, went to Montreal, and is returning to Boston. So it was 7 days to Montreal and 7 days back. And so fantastic. I have my same cabin, so there were other people getting off the ship. I didn't even have to get off the ship. It was so while other people were loading, unloading, packing their luggage, I was up in the Lido enjoying a cup of tea. I don't think I had tea, maybe I had lemonade. So in any event, this is Dr. Bob's signing off from Bar Harbor. I had to remember where I was. Oh, I wanted to give you a tip. So one of the best cruise websites to go to is a website called Vacations to Go. That's www.vacations2go. They pretty much list all cruises, passenger cruises, worldwide, entire world. Doesn't matter if they're leaving from Australia, if they're leaving from California, if they're leaving from Amsterdam. Vacations2go.com is one of the top 10 go-to cruise travel sites. One of the things that you'll want to do is when you go to the site, first of all, to get the real information, you won't be able to get into the real information unless you give them your email. And then once you do that and you enter the site, you'll see that down the left-hand side, they'll have different categories. Like they have like a 90-day ticker, which gives you cruise deals that are leaving in the next 90 days. Then they have last-minute specials like cruise leaving in the next 2 weeks. And then if you scroll down on the left-hand side, they'll have special cruises for people over 55, people that are, say, firefighters or teachers, the singles, solo cruises, etc. One of the really nice things is that at the top, it'll ask you where do you want to go. Like if you want to see all the cruises going to Auckland, New Zealand, and so you put in Auckland, New Zealand. That's the destination. Then it'll ask you what dates, so you'd say July 2023 to July 2024, for example, or you could shorten that period if you only have a smaller window to do it, or a longer window. In any event, there are a tremendous amount of filters. So, for example, one of the filters, and I only, again, just recently found out about this. So even though I've been traveling extensively, been to over 75 countries, there's certain information that I'm still just finding out about, or where I knew something, but it's changed or doesn't exist anymore. And so that's one of the things about travel. It's changing constantly. And so when you get your information, you have to check and double check and double check. And so, sometimes an announcement will be made that conflicts with what you have in writing. So here would be a thing that would be important. If an announcement is made saying, be back on the ship by this time, and it's a different time than what was in the paper, the bottom line is it doesn't matter if the paper is right or the speaker is right. When you're getting off the ship, you have to confirm with security, listen, what's the time I gotta be back, or the ship will leave without me. And so you wouldn't believe, from time to time, there are people that get left, right? Because you could be on shore shopping and you lose track of the time. Or, again, if you go off the ship on your own and then something happens like construction, or there's a fire and the road is blocked. That just happened when we were in the Dominican Republic, and there were some people who wisely decided not to go to a particular place that was only 45 minutes away from the ship, because what ended up happening that day, they closed the bridge, so it wasn't going to be open to the next day. So that's called SOL, right? So the thing is, the people were warned, maybe you don't want to do that, because the official tour people are not going there because they have the real information. And so, but some people could still say, hey, listen, I want to go over there. I want to get some Cuban cigars, or I want to get some special perfume, or they have the beautiful beach. So the thing is, when it's not an official shore excursion, and then you don't get back in time, the ship will leave without you. And so I've seen that happen a couple of times, where you're on the ship and they make the announcements. Well, so-and-so from cabin so-and-so, please report to guest services. Well, they're not on the ship because they missed it. So that kind of thing happens. Just like, when you're home, if you took the railroad and you get to the platform 30 seconds late, the train leaves with you. That used to happen to me a few times when I was a kid, and I'd be running for the train in Grand Central, and literally the conductor would say, all aboard, and literally he would immediately close the door, and I would be running down the platform, but the train said whoosh, right? Too late. And so better not to cut it close. And a guy I knew used to say, if you have a meeting at 12 noon and you get there at 10:02, you're late. So I always thought that was really cute. So in any event, this is Dr. Bob signing off from the lovely Bar Harbor, Maine. I want to encourage you to come up here to Maine. This is, it's a very warm day, but it's really true. They do have a tremendous amount of fog, both here and in Canada, where we were. We were in Halifax, we were in Sydney, we were in Quebec, and at each place in the morning, there was a tremendous amount of fog. And we've been sailing through a tremendous amount of fog. So my hat's off to the captain because, he's been blowing the foghorn and, making sure that we're safe, and I appreciate that. So this is Dr. Bob signing off from the Stress Free Now membership site portal. So I hope you found the information I gave to you today. In another broadcast, I will go through some of the cruise lines and some of the differences because depending on the type of cruise that you're looking for, you may want to select a certain type of cruise line, or you may want to avoid a certain cruise line. So here's a funny aside. I had a very, very knowledgeable travel agent, and I said to her, look, excitedly, I said, look, I found some cruises, only $159. This one's $129. All these cruises are less than $200. And she rolled her eyes and she said this to me. She said, Bob, if you pick those cruises, which are real prices, she said, you better bring Johnny with you. So I was like, Johnny? I said, who's Johnny? And she said, Johnny Walker, Scotch. It's Dr. Bob signing off from the lovely Bar Harbor, Maine. Until next time, be safe and be well.